All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, including everything that you can do today if you're interested in daily fantasy sports and esports for player props. The best place to go is our good friends now at thrivefantasy.com or Thrive Fantasy on Google Play or the App Store. Download it today or go hit up thrivefantasy.com today. Your first deposit, they'll match up to $50 as long as it's $20 or more. Up to $50, they'll match it with this code, LFB. Just type in LFB in the code right there, and you can go ahead and get a match up to $50. Daily fantasy sports betting right there. Also, they will tell you at the app if your state works or your state doesn't work for this type of betting. So please check out all the information today at thrivefantasy.com or Thrive Fantasy, wherever you get your apps. Well, it was a great game today. Cannot complain because preseason looked a lot better for the Los Angeles Lakers. Pretty ugly on Friday, but there are no complaints today because the team looked really good in winning over the Clippers once again, 131-106. And as Laker Tom said before, it never gets old when you beat the Clippers. And here today to talk about today's game and obviously the outstanding performance by Talen Horton-Tucker. No arguments here today. He obviously a very good game. And we're going to talk about that and a lot more, including Kyle Kuzma is my good friends indeed. First off, he's going to be my good friend who's back strong, feeling much better, and obviously doing great things for Lakerholics.com. This is my good friend indeed, Sean Grice, a.k.a. Magic Man. First off, my friend, I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad to have you back strong. Glad to have you back healthy. And oh my gosh, have we been getting a load of people talking about our videos. The one last week with you, me, and Tom, the whole scenario. Last people asking, are you okay? People asking, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. My gosh, as soon as you told me okay, I looked back at it. I went back and I saw the fact that my sheer look of horror on my face and the faces I was making for the next 5 minutes while Laker Tom was doing Laker Tom stuff and yap, all the way through, not knowing the whole time that Sean was actually very sick and Gerald was making every face known to mankind, was truly hysterical. But between you and me, Sean, I know what Laker Tom was probably saying at the time probably induced the actual sickness in and of itself. He gets me sick too.
Oh, well, I can't co-sign that, my friend, but thank you for having me back on. I feel much better. I'm okay. I just, for everyone's edification, I am a type 1 diabetic, and, with a disease like that, sometimes you have the good days and sometimes you have the bad days. Now, on our championship run, Fast Break saw me at my best, and last week, you guys saw me at my worst.
Well, we didn't hopefully see you for too long. Mostly people, especially on YouTube, they saw me at, let's just say they saw me in sheer state of horror, but I do appreciate that the fact that you are feeling much better. I know that the memes have already started in and of itself when it concerns you, and obviously me as well. My faces, while Laker Tom continued to talk away, not knowing what was going on the entire time. But I want to ask you this: great performance today by the Lakers. LeBron, AD, just a Caruso, Wes Matthews, Schroeder, not in the lineup today. Still a great performance, and again, it all starts with THT. He's already being compared to next to Jordan, already online on Twitter. You already see the memes there. I don't want to go that far, but the kid had a really good game.
Oh, he had a fantastic game. I think we all understood the development phase with him last year. We all read the articles. He's going to spend a year in South Bay honing his skills, and by golly, did he ever! I mean, if we did have a summer league, would he even be in it this year? I mean, he's so far more advanced than his peers are at this point.
He needs as many reps as he can get. He needs as many reps as he gets. So, yeah, he would have been in the summer league. I mean, Kuzma and Ball, Ingram that year were in the summer league. So
for sure. But we'll see where it goes. But I mean, he's definitely earned playing time at this point. We have to see what he can really do when there are live bullets.
Well, definitely, I think he has earned some time. The thing is, he has to stay under control, but I think the key, and Laker Tom is also here as well, he's going to comment here in a second. The key was the fact that Marc Gasol was in the lineup and took a lot of pressure off him because Friday, yeah, he did get 19 points, got a lot of rebounds, got to the line, did drive very well, but he shot 6 for 17, a very inefficient 6 for 17. Today, much more efficient, looked good and smooth from the outside, looked very confident. And I think as Laker Tom joins us, the mastermind behind everything that's going on at Lakerholics.com, Laker Tom, I think the fact that Marc Gasol was out there helping initiate the offense took a lot of pressure off the kid and let the kid do what the kid can do best.
Well, you know, he actually played pretty well in his version of the summer league, which was the semifinals against the Rockets, if you remember that.
Yes.
So, you know, for a kid who came into the playoffs having played 2 regular season games with the Lakers, he performed extremely well and held his own during that particular situation. And I really liked. I thought that Frank Vogel did the really smart thing when you're looking at a preseason that's 4 games long. And you're looking at a turnaround of like 71 days, you know, before you start the new season for a team that had gone all the way and won the championship. And when I contrasted him playing 8 guys tonight, 9 guys last night versus Tyrone Lue playing 17 last night and 18 tonight, you don't even get a sense of what you're doing in a game if you're sharing minutes with 18 players. And you only got 4 games to get ready for the regular season. So I thought it was a masterful decision by the Lakers coaching staff to really play, just choose 8 guys or 9 guys for each one of these preseason games. Let them play and get a feeling for what it's like to be in a regular game as a regular part of the rotation, get into some rhythm, start to make some plays. I thought the playmaking the passing between the Lakers was outstanding. Every single player who played tonight ended up with an assist. And Horton Taylor, I mean, what was he last night? He scored 19 points and 8 rebounds and 3 steals and 3 assists. Well, tonight he beat that. He had 33 points, 10 rebounds, 4 steals, 4 assists.
Well, but it's just more efficient.
He was 6 of 6 from the free throw line last night or the other night, and tonight he was 7 for 9 from the free throw line.
But he took better shots. He was more in control today, and I really
took the same shots. He took the same shots because the shots he missed last night, where he took 4 threes and missed 3 of them. Tonight he was 4 of 5 from deep.
Think the offense moves much smoother. Again, I think having Marc Gasol in there initially.
Oh, I don't know. Listen, one of the highlights of the game. I agree with you 100%, Gerald. One of the highlights of the game is getting a preview and a glimpse of what Marc Gasol is going to mean to this team offensively. His ability to pass from the high post is going to just transform the Lakers, as well as his ability to draw a defender out of the opposing center, out of the key and out of the paint, and having to respect his 3-point shooting. He's going to be a game changer for the Lakers, and we saw that tonight. I mean, he got 5 assists, but those 5 assists were every one of them was just like a beautiful pass to a cutter. And the motion that you get when you got, I mean, imagine when LeBron James is out there and Marc Gasol is out there, you know, Kyle Kuzma had a great night tonight because of the passing of Marc Gasol. And Talen Horton-Tucker had a great night because of that too. But the thing that just really impressed me was that the the team really was able to develop some rhythm. They shot as best. I told you before the game or before the podcast tonight that I think this was the best preseason game I've ever seen the Lakers play.
They had a really good one last year.
Preseason games for 40 years. I've been a Laker fan for 40 years and I've watched 40 years of basketball, and I've never seen the team shoot as well, play as well. And I think it's just a marvelous job that Frank Vogel and his staff have done to limit the number of players getting in here so that it's not a typical preseason game. The game on Friday night did seem like a typical preseason game. It was pretty sloppy. We shot 35% from the field, so it wasn't anything, like we saw tonight where we shot 70% from deep. And we were even making very difficult fadeaway threes in the corner and so forth. But great progress. The only thing better than beating the Clippers is just clobbering the Clippers. And it was great to see, we took them down 2 times. We had Talon had a plus 36 plus minus for the game, which really tells you that the Clippers were lucky that they didn't let him play every minute of the game. Otherwise, it would have been a bigger wipe than it was. But great game for the Lakers. You saw a lot of good play. I thought Quinn Cook played very well too. If you're talking about the 13th guy on the bench, and as I've always said, the best 14th man in the league. Jared Dudley came through again, and I don't know whether you were watching the ESPN broadcast, but good for Mark Jackson really talking about how important those last couple guys on the bench are to the charisma, to the chemistry, to the culture of the team, and how valuable they were. And you could see that just in the rapport. Watching LeBron James just get so excited because Talen Horton-Tucker had gone out there and had taken that tweet of LeBron saying this kid is going to be great. And he just came out there and showed exactly what LeBron was talking about. Terrific night for the Lakers.
Trying to make up for those comments he made 6 weeks ago about Alex Caruso starting in Game 6 of the NBA Finals being a bad one.
We really need to. It was great what LeBron said, but I also remember him showering praise at Shabazz Napier and.
Yes, I knew you were going to do that. I knew you was going to say that. Yeah, that's almost. I don't want to be.
Are you putting on your glass half empty hat already, Sean? I always thought I had a 2-to-1 edge here over Gerald.
No. You gotta balance it out, my friend. You gotta balance it out.
You gotta support your teammates.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, Laker Tom. Yeah, you do. Hand to hand. But we won't go there. Again, it's Gerald Glassford. That's all I'll say. But I'm here with Sean Grice, aka Magic Man, and Laker Tom. We truly appreciate you listening and being part of the broadcast here today. Once again, it is the Lakers beating the Clippers 131-106. I do want to go talk to the guys before we head on out real quick because, again, it was a great performance overall. Kyle Kuzma, his performance very understated, but very, very solid, and just a great performance there, 25 points. I think with Talen Horton-Tucker, I think I was most impressed that he was just under control on both ends of the floor and a much better factor on defense. Laker Tom, I know you had talked about his defense being a little bit skittish on Friday. That's where I really wanted to see him perform because he has all the attributes, the quickness and the length to be a much better defender than what he showed at times on Friday. He showed that today, and that's really what I like to see. I'm not asking for miracles. I'm not asking for him to step on the court and all of a sudden be an all-pro and have the, that kiss of death sometimes that LeBron gives people, like Sean was talking about with Shabazz Napier. But if he can provide you that spark off the bench, you talked about Lou Williams as far as that. I think you mentioned that the other day, as far as a spark off the bench, getting you points, getting to the line, things that he can do and create for you as far as being a playmaker is concerned. If he can just get his shot to the point where it's consistently in somewhere 33%, making 1 out of every 3, that could really just improve his game. Because I don't want it to get to the point where teams will just stay way off of him to the point where it's just so hard for him to drive. That's the thing. That's the only thing.
I think that you're overreacting to his.
Well, you saw what it did. Well, you
Yeah.
no, I'm not. He's still got a lot of room to grow. He's 20.
13 out of 15 from the free throw line.
No, I did.
That's almost 90%.
I understand, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. Again, he's got a lot of room to grow, but you want to make sure that he develops his shot in a way that, let's say, Russell Westbrook, who again gets a lot of points, gets the line a lot, but when it came down to the nitty gritty in the playoffs, you saw how the Lakers played off of him and how much of advantage it was. I'm just saying, it's when you're talking about utilizing him going forward and seeing his career progress from point A to point C, that's the one area I think he needs to develop the most. And if he does, and he plays and he shoots more in line what he shoots like today, because he was outstanding today, then you could really see him going and reaching that next level. That's the only thing I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think that it's one thing to watch a preseason game, and Talon did everything that you could ask for. He filled all of the analytics categories. He passed the eye test beautifully. But the one thing that I always listen to is what the coaches are saying, what the coaches and the other players on the team are saying, and not necessarily just a tweet in support of a teammate and so forth. But we've heard consistently that throughout training camp and even throughout the camp in the bubble, that Talon was really tearing it up and really being a terrific player and being hard to stop. And when you think about how you see this guy snake into the lane, as well as some of the best veterans, and being able to get a guy on his hip and keep him from behind there, the passes that he's making and so forth. This is a kid who just turned 20 years old. And I don't think, I'm not saying he's going to start at shooting guard next to Schroeder and playing next to LeBron. If he does it in a couple more games, it might not be impossible. But I think we got an 11-man rotation right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he's going to get minutes. He's going to get minutes, and he's going to, and it's interesting. I mean, there's going to be a discussion about whose minutes he's going to get. I would not want to be Caruso, who is injured right now. I would not want to be another guy who couldn't fill a certain role. I think that there's something to be said about the way that the Lakers offseason has rejuvenated the youth of the team, and the way that they've really focused on trying to make sure that even though LeBron has got a 3-year contract and hopefully will play even beyond that, the Lakers have really worked hard to build a team that is going to be here when Anthony Davis is the face of the franchise and LeBron is retired.
Well, LeBron's not going to retire. Stop that talk right now. LeBron's going to retire, I think, when I'm 90.
Well,
and you're 105. So that's that.
Listen,
he may think he's a cyborg.
You're a young man. You're a young man compared to me.
He's
let me tell you, when I get out of bed in the morning, when I get done doing any activity and so forth, Father Time will catch up with you no matter who you are.
Oh no, Father Time has already caught up to me, tapped me on the shoulder and says, "It's time for you, buddy." Yeah, no,
but I think it's an interesting thing, because I think that Talen Horton-Tucker is not only going to get valuable minutes playing right now this season, and some of that I will admit, some of that is because of the nature of the season, that we're in the COVID pandemic, that we want fewer minutes for LeBron and AD because of the compressed 72-game season and so forth. But don't kid yourself. Part of it is because this kid is pushing his way into the lineup, and he's pushing his way into the rotation, and he's going to be part of the Lakers' future. I think that I kiddingly said a couple of times on Twitter and Lakerholics.com that boy, we all of a sudden have a player that's going to be a pretty good trading piece if we want to go after a third star at the trade deadline. Frankly, I don't think that we're willing to give him up.
Oh no, don't tell no, because if it's Antetokounmpo,
for all of you people, and I love Alex Caruso too, but for all of you people who want to claim that Alex Caruso is untouchable, let me tell you, if there's one player, a young player, who's untouchable on this team, it's probably Taylor Horton-Tucker. It's not Alex Caruso.
There is no player that's untouchable. You got to learn that in the league. There is absolutely no player or no contract that's untouchable in this. Didn't we find out
LeBron
that
James and Anthony Davis?
Didn't we find that out with the John Wall trade, that there's no contract or no that's untouchable?
Once you get a Supermax contract and you can't live up to it, you're automatically belong to the Supermax contract trade club.
Yes.
Well, there's a whole bunch of guys in that trade club.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. I just, as a Laker fan, I'm stressing. Let's be optimistic about THT, but let's also be realistic as well.
Yes.
We don't need to put the cart before the horse here.
Yes.
At the end of the year, he's got a $1.7 million qualifying offer. If he plays like this, if he continues to play like this, the Lakers will ultimately will qualify.
We can make him restricted with that qualifying offer, which we will do, and we will match any price he gets.
But if Antetokounmpo, let's say things go south there, and he demands a trade to the Lakers, and the Bucks come knocking on the door and says, "Okay, I want a package of Kuzma."
We'll give him anybody, but everybody but AD and LeBron, of course.
Yeah. I mean, you do that in a heartbeat. Anybody would do that in a heartbeat. But THT is proving his worth. I will give you that. He's obviously
we'll trade Caruso before we trade THT.
Well, they see that's the issue. I think that's going to come up. We might have to choose between the two. If
I already know, I can already tell you that it'll be Caruso. We offered Caruso last year for the guy from Detroit.
I understand what you're saying. But by taking Caruso off the roster in that scenario, you're eliminating a plus defender. And that's really important in the playoffs.
Caruso was a clutch client, but he's not a clutch client.
But Caruso, let me say this: Caruso is also on the verge of possibly getting a big contract, and
for sure,
because of the way he played last year. And if he,
what do you think Caruso's next contract is going to be for?
He could get as many as $7 to $10 million a year. He could possibly even get more. Somebody might sign him to one of those crazy 15 to 7. He is the type of
$15 million a year.
Hold on here. Hold on. Let me finish what I was saying. He might be the type of player that some team goes out there and overpays just to get him on his team because he has the pedigree. He has a championship and he can play defense. I didn't say he was worth the $15 to $17 million of an overpriced contract.
There's practical things that you have to think about when you think about what's going to happen with both of those players.
Thank God Mitch Kupchak is no longer on.
First of all, number one,
agreed.
Let me point this out to you because you got to think about these things before you open your mouth. Number one is that who's the agent? Caruso is not a clutch agent and a clutch client. THT is a clutch client. That's number one. Number two, who's a restricted free agent? A restricted free agent is going to be Taylor Horton-Tucker. We can match any offer that he gets. Alex Caruso is going to be an unrestricted free agent.
That's correct.
Which means that we may not even get a chance to match him. So when you add those two things together, plus Alex Caruso's never scored 33 points even in a preseason game. I don't think he's ever had 4 steals.
But let me ask you this.
I love Alex. I think he's a great guy. And I think one of the things he brings to the team is something of the same character that Jared Dudley does, which is an unselfishness and a team-first approach that makes him extremely valuable and more valuable than his numbers that he puts and produces. But he is not going to be a potential star, and I think THT has star potential. And that all of those things together, when you match those together, and I'm not trying to insult anybody who loves Alex Caruso because I'm a big Caruso fan. I think that the GOAT discussions where he's the GOAT of the bench is a laugh. I don't agree with that. That's ridiculous. That's like the people who tweeted tonight that we're not going to trade THT for James Harden. Of course we would. Although I wouldn't want Harden on the team, but just in general.
Okay, if Harden was offered right now, maybe that's something you'd think about.
No, I wouldn't. I might change my mind if he became a Laker because I'll support him, because there was a point in time when
That
I
always
didn't
happens with
when
you.
I didn't
Yes.
want to trade for LeBron. When I thought that he would bring the wrong traits and so forth, but LeBron convinced me totally differently.
Your
You
mind
know,
always gets changed when they change the purple and gold, but that's okay. I understand that, and I get that.
But no, there's reasons why you can see that Talen Horton-Tucker is much more likely to stay a Laker than Alex Caruso is.
Well, yeah,
And
I said that, but I know Sean was arguing that point. But I'm telling you, I agree with you on the fact that his contract is, he's looking for a payday, and there's a possibility he could be that individual that gets an overpay. I mean, he could find
a match. What could somebody might offer him? 3
I'd say
years,
12. Let's say
3
12.
years, $36 million. If I'd match the 3 year, $36 million for Talen right now. I wouldn't match that. I might match it for, boy, it'd be a real stretch, because to me it's 3 years, $24 million is the kind of offer that I think is worth for Alex Caruso.
Again, that's we'll see what he gets paid. If Mitch Kupchak is around in Charlotte still, he may overpay.
Yeah, but you can't underestimate who his agent is and whether or not you can go over the cap. The other thing, see, is also that when Caruso goes out there, Caruso's was on a 2-year contract, so we don't have
Caruso. It's just there's not a lot of flexibility with Alex's contract as far as.
But let me say this, and I'm in more Laker Tom's camp than I am in Sean's camp on that one. But when it comes down to it this year in the playoffs, THT, when it comes down to the 5-out, last 2 minutes of the ball game, game 6 of an NBA Finals, Caruso's going to play in the most important minutes, more likely than THT, and that's the one thing the Lakers still have.
Well, probably at this time I would agree because of age and experience.
Let me hold on. Let me finish say this. I'm worried about the Lakers defense overall not being as good as last year, but then their offense is more than swung that in the favor. When it comes down to it, the Lakers in the playoffs still will have their 6 prime defenders still on the court. Okay, Danny Green, you could argue whatever but still you have 6 of your prime defenders still there to play the crucial minutes. If you don't like the way Porter or Harrell are playing, or even Gasol for that matter, you still could go 5 out, go small, and could still be just as effective because you have those defenders. Caruso is one of them. But you're right. Caruso is going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's going to go and want to cash in because this will be probably the only, at his age, big contract he'll ever get, unless somehow miraculously at age around 28, 29, 30, he's going to get a big contract beyond that. This will probably be the biggest contract of his life. So it's going to be very hard to retain him long term if somebody wants to go ahead and do an overpay. It's just that simple. So I agree with Tom that right now, you got to put more of an investment into THT than Alex Caruso. I agree with Tom.
It's kind of funny. I also happen to think, though, that I don't think Caruso wants to leave the Lakers.
No, he doesn't. But if
and I think that the Lakers will pay him while they'll
want for a hometown discount.
How long has he been with the Lakers? 3 years.
The same time as Kuzma, yeah. Because remember, he came in the same
right. So he's got bird rights, so we can go over the cap to pay him. So we will pay him as long as it's not an outlandish contract. And he's not the kind of guy that teams are willing to pay for an outlandish contract for. He's the kind of guy that you groom for your own team, and he has value over and above what the stats say and what the eye test says.
You say that, my friend, but okay, as the NBA, yes, all it takes is one. I mean, can I go through the list here? Timofey Mozgov, Luol Deng, Jim McIlvaine. You've got Bismack Biyombo. You've got a whole bunch of teams out there. A bunch of
general managers who were still thinking that dinosaurs could play basketball and really be valuable on teams. And they made a lot of bad decisions because of that.
I mean, look at the guy playing today for the Clippers who did a decent job out there today, Nicholas Batum. Need I say more? More?
They paid him like a 30-point game scorer, and he never scored more than 16 a game.
know that. That was clearly pointed out on ESPN. But all I'll say is this: THT is someone who obviously the shift and focus now has to go on his development. He does have to have more games like today. If he's under control, he
is what we hoped Kyle Kuzma might be.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, he's got to have that. I'm not asking for 40%. I'm not asking for 35%. If he hits 1 out of 3, if he averages 1 out of 3, that opens up the floor and the game for him.
I think he'll shoot better than that. I
think eventually he will. For now, I'm not.
You look at his free throw shooting. Look at his free throw shooting. That's the best measure of the potential 3-point shooter.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, Gerald, it's not just that either. It's in the playoffs, and I watched a few games over the weekend. More and more teams now are just switching outright. They'll switch a guard onto a big in the high to mid post, and if you can't take that guard down and get a good opportunity to score, shame on you. And THT's development is really important for that. He took small guys tonight, and he took them right to the rim.
I'm just going to say this. Sean, let me just say this, Sean. If he plays against Luke Kennard every single game, he'll be an all-star.
Kennard and Lou Will on the floor. Whoa.
Well,
yes.
Eyes lit up. Dinner, man.
On Friday and today, THT is eyes lit up when Luke Kennard was in the game. And you know this. And so the Clippers out there, they were saying, we got Luke Kennard. That's a great pick over Landry Shamet. I'm not so sure. I'm not
so sure about that either.
I will argue all day about
the length that THT has is something that is really.
I will argue all day.
I
will argue all day about
it's a problem. It's a problem.
I will not argue over the Kennard Shamet deal. I think the Nets got the better end of the deal on that one.
Well, Gerald, did you hear that the Clippers actually refused to take Shamet back? They'd rather have Luke Kennard.
Well, there you go.
So go figure. I just wanted to add one thing. What you guys are saying about him defensively? That one sequence where he just took the ball out of Patrick Patterson's hands was really, really impressive. Patrick Patterson is a small man. He's around 6'10". I think he's around 280. He might weigh a little bit more, but THT stood up to him and took the ball out of his hands.
6'4", 240.
When he took it out of Kawhi, when he took it away from Kawhi today and stole the ball from Kawhi. The thing is, like Kawhi, he's got that reach. People see him as 6'4". Oh, I've got a 6'4" guard on me, no problem. Or I'll go face up on him. He's got that reach to go ahead and tip the ball away and steal the ball. And you see what happens. Much better defensively today. Much better overall. I'm very pleased to see what. Again, I'm not expecting 30 points out of the kid. I know every game out. And no one should either. But just playing under control, playing within the framework of the offense and defense that Frank Vogel has designed, and Marc Gasol helping him out and taking that pressure off him. If you're going to have him as the backup point guard or the point guard coming off the bench or the whatever off guard or whatever position that you're going to put him on the bench, coming off the bench, great. Just have him as
point guard. Are you kidding me?
Well, he might play.
Listen, 1 month ago, I listened to Eric Pincus's YouTube feed on the Lakers cap space situation, and he was lining up the depth chart. And after Schroeder and Caruso, he had THT as the third guy in there, and he said,
I would put him ahead of Caruso.
That all of the coaches were telling him that they believe this kid can run the offense, that he can be a point guard in this league. And you'll notice where he started tonight. He started at point guard, and he ran the offense beautifully the whole night.
But he could play off the ball as well. Obviously, because he has a scoring mentality, he could play off the ball as well. That's why like a Lou Will, he can play off the ball. But he obviously has the gifts that he can play better defense.
Well, he can play defense, which Lou Will can't.
Or maybe Lou Will could play back in the day.
Well, it's like the joke where somebody said that Lou Will is playing as hot as lemon pepper hot wings, which the guy was pointed out that they aren't really hot wings. They're not hot,
Go ahead, Sean.
Lemon pepper.
And then we're going to close.
I haven't had the wings there. I'm not gonna speak on them yet.
Have you been there?
I have not. No. What I was gonna say was
Don't they have a
Gerald.
branch in Toronto? I thought they had a branch in Toronto.
I've never been. Haven't been to that one. I was just gonna say, piggybacking on what Gerald said about THT playing off the ball. It's amazing to think the kind of wrinkles that this offense can have now. If you have a Schroeder up there, plus a LeBron, plus Marc Gasol, that you basically have 3 point guards on the floor who basically have played read motion their entire lives. Like, they don't know how to play any other way. I need to get the ball out of my hands and into the best opportunity possible. If you have a THC out there who can move without the ball and get to the rim,
or Kuzma,
that adds so many different wrinkles to the offense. And I think,
and then Harold played well off the ball.
Harold
oh my gosh,
off the ball too.
Yeah, and have you seen Harold on the ball as a pick and roll handler? He's actually not half bad either. No. So that's another wrinkle there. So
there's just issues, like I said, with height. Because of his height, he's only 6'7".
Right.
But,
He's only 6'7", but he actually has a 9'1" standing reach and a 7'1" wingspan.
I understand, but there were times
he plays bigger.
Yeah,
but
there was
bigger than his size.
But you're right, Gerald. I did see him. I did see there were times because we didn't have AD in there. And I think we're going to see AD playing most of the time with Harold.
Yeah, I understand that.
There were times when we were undersized against Zubac down low.
Yeah, and that's
was like a man among children.
And I feel bad for Zubac because he is no longer the starting center in the Clippers by no fault of his own. Again, I thought the Ibaka trade was the Ibaka signing was a good one for them. I think it's going to benefit the Clippers, but the Lakers. With the team that they have now going forward, look really good. Obviously, a great win tonight. But guys,
we did get Ibaka too. That would have been really nice.
That would. Did I not say that? I said that. Well, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no. Listen, I was rooting for us to get Ibaka actually before Gasol. But you know what? After watching Gasol pass, I'm glad we got Gasol instead of Ibaka.
Well, Ibaka again, I think is a better fit for the team for a team in the postseason. I think when you go smaller, he fits that scenario better. We'll see what it does for Harold.
Than Mark's going to be, that's for sure. Mark is awful slow now.
Exactly, and that's some concern, and it showed tonight. But again, a great performance overall by the Lakers. I want to go ahead and commend them. THT was outstanding. This is something you obviously want to see from the kid going forward as a learning step. Hopefully become more contributor. And I think now that he's earned minutes, I've obviously was kind of worried about it because he was just on Friday. You saw a lot of good, you saw a lot of bad, but then again, he's 20. So we got to go ahead and put that in perspective. But you did see what the promise holds for tonight. He did it in front of a showcase on national television. So I'm happy for the kid. And I do think he's earned minutes going forward during the season. And like Tom said, you will see that. But before we head on out, I wanted to go ahead and mention once again our friends at ThriveFantasy.com. Please support Thrive Fantasy today. Please help us out here at the Lakers Fast Break. If you type in the code LFB on checkout with your first deposit, they'll match it up to $50 as long as your first deposit is at least $20 or more. They'll match it up to $50. It's daily fantasy sports betting and esports betting for player props. Check also as well their site, thrivefantasy.com, or wherever you get your apps. You download the app. You can make sure that you are eligible in the state. You're living in the state that's eligible for daily fantasy sports. But you can go ahead and be part of the action today. It's really fun, and I just highly recommend it. It is thrivefantasy.com. But, guys, before we head on out, I know you're going to be working on stuff all week long for Lakerholics.com. I know Laker Tom has got like 5 THT articles already in the making. But Sean, I'm going to hit up with you first. And a big shout out to Jamie Sweet. Hope he's well. Hope everything is good. And I know 5 great things are coming up for THT and the Lakers in his articles. But what do you got planned on the way out for us, my friend, at Lakerholics.com?
Well, this week, Gerald, I've got a Lakers season preview coming up, along with just about a 10-minute read on what I think the new season will hold as well for the rest of the league. Look, we're not the only team that has to go 72 days in between finals appearances. The Heat have to go through that as well. So there are challenges for everybody right now. And by the way, it looks as though what you said would happen is going to happen. The league looks to be expanding the roster to about 15.
Oh, what do you know? What do you know?
The active roster, you mean? For
the
game.
active roster. Yeah,
That doesn't add any players to the roster. It just says that all 15 can suit up.
But you still have the ones that you can call up at any point in time for as far as to the South Bay Lakers. And
it's interesting that we didn't play any of our two-way players tonight.
I'm not surprised.
Well, I don't think it's kind of funny when you think about. We've been talking in the show about THT getting minutes and 11-man rotation. We just saw an 8 and 9-man rotation in the preseason, guys. Yeah. Which opens up the question of that's an interesting way for the Lakers to approach a very deep bench where you don't. I mean, it's very difficult for guys to come in and get rhythm if they have like a 3-minute or 4-minute segment in the game, and then a second half they get another 3 or 4 minutes. And with the sort of other than the national broadcast games, the league is sort of looking the other way toward this load management stuff. We may see games where there are 2 or 3 players on the team, sort of like simulating COVID. You take 3 or 4 players off of and say, you guys ain't going to play tonight because we're going to play of our 11-man rotation. We're going to play these 8. Then tomorrow night we'll play these 9, and the next night we'll play these 8, and then these 9.
Well, the Lakers are much
like that. I kind of like that idea because it takes that compressed 72-game season and gives everybody proper minutes so that they can really play like they're a rotation player rather than everybody being a little off because everybody's playing too few minutes and so forth. And it's the best way to give some breaks to LeBron and AD. It could be what we're seeing Bogle do is a test of some possible load management strategies moving forward. And I kind of like it the more I'm thinking about it.
Well, the Lakers, when it comes down to it, are a much deeper team than last year when their bench and their 1 to 15 was a little bit more suspect. I know Laker Tom and I went at it in regards to their depth at last year, but I think he's now seeing more on my side, now seeing how well the Lakers have restocked and actually done a lot better job.
They were very deep last year. I thought we proved that
they were. I think they were deep as far as
but there's no question. The talent in the numbers 8, 9, and 10 and 11 spots this year are superior to what they were.
And that's what I'm saying. But also the fact that last year,
where's Kuzma? Is he the number 10 player or the number 9 player?
Anyway,
he ain't the number 8 player on this roster.
Well, when it comes down to it, last year's team was focused in on defense. That's what got the team their calling card. We were looking for the third man last year. Third man was defense. We were looking for a better bench. The bench goes together as a defensive unit. Offensively, shooting, playmaking, those were all issues. But you know what? They were able to go ahead and get over all those obstacles by playing outstanding defense. This year, they're going to have to do things a little bit differently and approach it from a different angle. And one of those ways is providing a better bench and also as well being able to score and have that ability to score and make plays when LeBron and AD aren't there playing the game. So this is something people are going to have to get used to. I still think the Lakers are in prime contention for an NBA championship. In fact, should be the favorite going in. I'm going on other shows and they're asking me who do I think is going to go all the way. And it's clear that the Lakers do have the best team right now. And I don't know why anybody thinks otherwise, because I've been accused on Twitter for saying things and being pessimistic and all that. And you know what? I'll tell you this. The Lakers have the best team out there. I don't want to go ahead and start calling the Lakers being over by leaps and bounds, because when you start that, you have the same situation you had a few years ago with the Golden State Warriors and everybody gave them the championship when they won 73 wins. Didn't happen. So let's go ahead and look at this one game at a time. But overall, right on paper, the Lakers right now have the best team going forward in the NBA and look the favorites for the NBA champions. But
By
before we
far.
again,
By far.
I'm not going to put that in there because when you start going ahead and being overconfident, bad things
There's
happen.
one tier. There's one tier at the top, which are the teams that have a really strong chance of winning a championship. And
The
the
Lakers
only team in that tier is the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, the
Then
Lakers
and Zach Lowe said it himself, the preeminent NBA writer. I have to put the Lakers in a tier by themselves right now.
Well, that's
the
great.
Lakers
The next tier's got 4 or 5
everybody
teams.
else.
The next team's got 4 or 5 teams that could win, that could play. And a lot of it depends upon what happens with injuries, what happens with chemistry, what happens at the trade deadline.
Well, again, I made the Lakers the favorite. I think they're going to be the pick for the NBA champions. So I think that should be good enough at this point in time. Putting them by leaps and bounds. You know what? This is sports.
It's pretty good for a glass half empty guy.
You know what? You need to cut that out. I'm really saying that was wrong. You know what? We'll just go ahead and deal with that later because you didn't have my back on Twitter. But all right, I'll let you go this one time. But before we head on out, Laker Tom, besides cutting me down, what else you got cooking
I'm not cutting you down, Gerald. Listen,
people don't have the guts to say it to me on Twitter. They said it to you. But let's put that aside. I also want to go ahead.
You're more of a realist in some ways than I am because I'm not. Listen, I've always been a glass half full person, a glass 3/4 full person. I always look for the silver lining in things, and that's me. Okay, I don't expect everybody else. Frankly, I don't expect many people to even be as optimistic about the Lakers as I am. So there's no shame in being a glass half empty person. That's just simply saying that you're more of a realist. You would rather be pleased with what happens rather than disappointed. In my business career, I'm exactly like you are. I always expect the worst.
I look at things from a perspective of realism and look at things as anything can happen during the course of an NBA season. Anything can happen with a business that you run. I've run many businesses. Like you've run multi-million-dollar businesses like myself. I know anything at any given point can go wrong or go awry. Just ask the Golden State Warriors what happened when they were trying to walk through their 73-9 season on their way to a dynasty.
Won 3 championships.
Yeah, still won the 3 championships, so it works out great. But again, I'm just saying this. The Lakers are and should be the prohibitive favorites going forward. But the people who are going ahead and saying by leaps and bounds, by chasms, until you go ahead and play the games out there, let's go ahead and make sure that that's the case because I don't want to see a situation where everybody is getting on the case of Frank Vogel and Rob Pelinka and everybody at Clutch for the decisions that they make. Well, let's go out and play.
If they don't perform up to the levels that we expect them to perform based upon
the Laker fans will be all over them.
You'll be all over them. That's fine. That's the price you pay for being optimistic. Yes. That's the price you pay for being at the top of the mountain. If you don't deliver, you're going to get the criticism.
And I'll try to be better for you than people are about me. That they won't even say it to my face. But we won't go there. I do want to send a special thank you to Ali El Hindi for the kind letter and response back that he sent to me about the kind words that he sent for the show. And I truly appreciate his time in going ahead and sending not one but both letters before. And want to go ahead and wish him well and wish everyone well out there. A nice holiday season. We'll be back with post-game wrap-ups plus extra podcasts as well this week on the Lakers Fast Break. I know Laker Tom and Magic Man, please follow all the great articles that they do each and every week at Lakerholics.com. Again, support us any way you can, 5-star review, or at least tell a friend if they need to listen to a good Lakers podcast that's going to not only get you up to date on the NBA, get you up to date on the Lakers, give you a good look at what the Lakers are going to be like. You just head on over to the Lakers Fast Break, and we'll go ahead and take care of you each and every week. We've got a lot of shows lined up. 200 is almost on the horizon, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking very forward to that, in fact. But we will be back this week at least once, twice, maybe even 3 episodes this week. We've got actually 2 games coming up this week, or next Friday and Sunday. It's at the next game. Next game is Friday?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so it'll be Friday, Sunday type deal again.
You play the Kings?
No, Suns. I think we play Suns.
Suns.
Oh, the Suns. That'll be interesting.
Back-to-back. Yeah, Suns back-to-back, so that'll be very interesting to see. So we will be back this Friday, at least for a wrap up. But beforehand, I've got other scheduled interviews that I'm going to go ahead and pop on as well. But I'm looking forward to it, guys. I'm looking forward to the great articles that you have and also the great banter and commentary that you guys always have online at Lakerholics.com. If you can, on Facebook, please support the Lakerholics today by going ahead. And now we have a Facebook page and group, separate page and group, and hopefully we can get some watch parties started. So we're definitely looking forward to that. But guys, another great win for the Lakers. I'm looking forward to it. THT is now a god among men right now on Twitter. I mean, memes have already started. They're already giving him his Hall of Fame plaque right there for you. So everything's already set for him.
He'll look good. He'll look good in the Bucks uniform.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, if we get Antetokounmpo in the trade, short term for long term.
As long as Giannis is willing to play center, I'm okay with that.
I'll take that for height right there. That's one way to solve the problem right there. But again, it's another great win for the Lakers. I want to go ahead and tell everybody that they did win again tonight, 131-106. A great performance overall for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I'm looking for more.
Best preseason game in Laker history.
Well, they had a good one last year, but this one, like with what?
Not like this, because it's against the Clippers, man.
Oh, that's true. Well, again, also the number of individuals that were out of the game makes this a whole lot sweeter as well.
Yeah.
So for Sean, Laker Tom, and myself, Gerald Glassford, which is my real name, I want to go ahead and wish everybody happy holidays, and we'll see you later this week right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.